Namaskar, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi tells the diaspora in Warsaw, join the India growth story to meet his counterpart Donald Tusk and President Andrzej Duda on day 2. Tim Walz accepts nomination to be Harris's running mate at Democratic Convention, hits the ground running as he launches an attack on Republicans, says they will ban abortion if they win. US President Joe Biden stresses on the urgency of a ceasefire deal in a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, discusses upcoming talks in Cairo to remove any remaining obstacles. Russia reports advances in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine destroys pontoon bridges in Kursk incursion. Ukrainian President Zelensky says boosting forces to resist Moscow advance. The Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 new Mpox cases in a week. Africa urgently seeks vaccines as viral disease rages in the Central African nation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Poland as part of his 3-day visit to Central Europe. Prime Minister has a packed day in Poland today. The day will begin with ceremonial welcome at the Chancellery. Later, he will hold a restricted meeting with his Polish counterpart, Donald Tusk. This will be followed by delegation-level talks and joint statements. The Prime Minister will lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, after which he will hold bilateral meeting with President Andrzej Duda. Finally, before leaving for Ukraine, Prime Minister Modi will interact with business leaders and Polish influencers. All right, to get us more on this, we're joined in by our correspondent Vishal Barrister from Warsaw, Poland. Vishal, good morning. Now, we've just given a broad outline to our viewers as to how the day would be for the Prime Minister when we talk of his engagements in Poland. You spell out more details. What would be the most prominent engagement of the Prime Minister, and how will the bilateral talks with the leadership of Poland help in further strengthening the relationship between the two countries?
Well, a very good morning to you, Preeti. In fact, the Prime Minister's tour of Poland started off on a very positive note. Yesterday, he had a packed events, 3 events. First was the Jamnagar event memorial, then came the Kolhapur memorial, and in the evening he had he addressed the Indian diaspora, and in that the Deputy Foreign Minister of Poland was also present. After the address of the Prime Minister, I spoke to him and he informed DD India that India and Poland can go a long way, because right now our bilateral trade stands at only $6 billion, but this can be taken to a much higher level. He also compared this figure with our neighboring country and said that there are huge opportunities between for India and Poland to grab them and to take our bilateral trade to much higher level. He also said that the two countries believe in democratic values, and when I asked him about the Prime Minister address, in which he said that India wants peace in the region, India wants that all the problems should be resolved diplomatically. Referring to Ukraine, he said that yes, definitely, that is why we value India so much, because both Poland and India have suffered a lot. India is still suffering, and Poland also suffered the colonial rule. In fact, Poland was under the impact of communism for a long time, but now both are democratic countries, and that is why the values of democracy is valued much more in these two countries. So today, the Prime Minister would be meeting the Polish counterpart, Donald Tusk. He would also go and meet the President of Poland, and he is leading a high-level delegation. So a lot is expected from these meetings, especially on the economic front. And Prime Minister would also lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, where he would be given a guard of honor, and he would also register his remarks at the book there. So it is going to be a very, very hectic day, and then the Prime Minister would board a train for Kyiv.
All right, so that was about Prime Minister's engagements in Poland. But then Vishal explained to us the way Prime Minister described and how, talking of the expectations, he described Poland as India's gateway to Central Europe. Let us get more from you. How has the relationship between the two countries evolved over the years? This is, the visit by the Indian Prime Minister in the last 45 years, which is important. Put all this together, let us know what are the specific areas which will strengthen the relationship to the next level between the two countries.
Well, certainly, Preeti, because it was Morarji Desai in the early 70s who visited Poland, and now it is Narendra Modi. And incidentally, both are non-Congress Prime Ministers of the country. And the Prime Minister also said that a few days back he was in Austria, and that was his first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 40 years. So he said that now things have changed. India's the view of the world towards India is changing, and also India's policy towards the world is changing. And he also reminded people how people of India came forward to help the Polish people. And when Gujarat was in trouble, when Gujarat was hit by a huge earthquake, it was Poland amongst the first countries to come out and reach out to Gujarat and help them. And it was their time to give back, because he was reminding people of how the Maharaja of Jamnagar, who is also called the Dobra Maharaj, helped people in need when Polish people were being hounded all over the world, and he provided refuge to them, and that was followed by the Principality of Kolhapur. So the values of the two countries are very, very important. Prime Minister said that India is now showing world the way of peace and prosperity. Let's grow together is the mantra of India, and Indian diaspora is also playing a key role in the strong bonding between the two countries. He said that we are very proud of what you have done here, and because of you, the image of the country is growing day by day, and it is not only Poland but also the Indian diaspora that is there across the world. So today the Prime Minister would be focusing on the friendship front. He would be focusing on the region per se. He would also be talking to his Polish counterparts as far as Ukraine is concerned. Remember, when the war broke out, it was Poland who helped India a lot, and they arranged for the safe passage of the Indian students. Around 4,200 plus students were evacuated through Poland. So it is going to be a very, very interesting day. Economy is one. Politics is going to be another important front, because before leaving for Kyiv, he would also like to have a word with his Polish counterparts. Yesterday, I spoke to the Deputy Foreign Minister, and he said that yes, it's a very welcome step taken by India, and we also value the concerns of India, not only about itself but about the world, and especially about the region, because the whole region, especially the Central Europe, is affected by the ongoing battle between Russia and Ukraine. Preeti?
All right. Vishal, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining in with those details and inputs. All right, up next, we get you a quick recap of Prime Minister's engagements on day one in Poland. Prime Minister Modi addressed the Indian diaspora in the capital city of Warsaw, during which he shared his thoughts on the transformative progress achieved by the country and outlined his vision for a developed India. He also dwelt on India's age-old philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the world is one family, and its contribution to global progress and well-being. The Prime Minister stated that India, following the tradition of Buddha, is committed to peace rather than war. He emphasized that India advocates for peace in the region and believes that now is not the time for conflict.
भारत बुद्ध की विरासत वाली धरती है। और जब बुद्ध की बात आती है तो जो युद्ध नहीं, शांति पर विश्वास करती है। और इसलिए भारत इस रीजन में भी स्थायी शांति का एक बड़ा पैरोकार है। भारत का मत एकदम साफ है। ये युद्ध का युग नहीं है। ये उन चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए एकजुट होने का समय है, जिनसे मानवता को सबसे बड़े खतरे हैं। इसलिए भारत डिप्लोमेसी और डायलॉग पर बल दे रहा है।
Besides, Prime Minister Modi paid solemn homage at the monument to the Battle of Monte Cassino in Warsaw. He honored the brave soldiers who fought in the Second World War. Indian and Polish troops fought side by side in this historic battle. Our shared history and enduring ties continue to inspire. Prime Minister Modi also paid homage at the Kolhapur Memorial in Poland. This memorial is a tribute to the great royal family of Kolhapur. The royal family was at the forefront of providing shelter to Polish women and children displaced due to the Second World War. Inspired by the ideals of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the great royal family of Kolhapur put humanity above everything else and ensured a life of dignity for the Polish women and children. This act of compassion will keep inspiring generations. Humanity and compassion are vital foundations of a just and peaceful world. Depicting this, the Prime Minister also visited the Jam Sahib of Navanagar Memorial in Warsaw. He highlighted the humanitarian contribution of Jam Sahib Digvijay Singh Ji, Ranjit Singh Ji Jadeja, who ensured shelter as well as care to Polish children left homeless due to the Second World War. Jam Sahib is fondly remembered as Dobry Maharaja in Poland. He paid homage at the memorial. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, 4 bodies retrieved from sunken yacht in Sicily. Search operation continues. At the 2024 World Robot Conference, China's top robotics makers showcase their latest humanoid robots and robot dogs. Amid conservation efforts in California, the nearly extinct majestic birds, condors, reclaim the skies of Mexico. News are Tim Walz has accepted Democratic vice presidential nomination on the 3rd day at Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Walz drew upon his experience as a football coach to rally Democrats to continue working to win over voters through Election Day. He recounted his career as a public school teacher and his record as the governor of Minnesota. Tim Walz thanked the convention for backing him as Kamala Harris's running mate. He also thanked Joe Biden for 4 years of a strong, historic leadership and Harris for putting trust in him and for giving Walz a chance to be part of the presidential campaign. Walz touted the progressive policies he implemented, including paid leave and protection for reproductive rights.
Because in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. And even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Walz lashed out at former President Donald Trump as weird as dangerous. He accused Trump and Vance of pursuing an agenda that will only benefit the richest and most extreme people in the country.
When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations free to pollute your air and water. And take advantage of customers. But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own health care decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall.
Former U.S. President Bill Clinton delivered the keynote at DNC. It marked his 12th consecutive DNC speaking appearance. Clinton praised Biden for his work on a number of issues and expressed thanks for his sacrifice in stepping aside.
We were in the middle of a pandemic and an economic crash. He healed our sick and put the rest of us back to work. And he strengthened our alliances for peace and security. He stood up for Ukraine. He's trying desperately to get a ceasefire in the Middle East.
Another star speaker, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, also addressed the DNC. She played a significant role in Biden's exit from the top of the Democratic ticket. Pelosi endorsed Harris to be the party's nominee for president, but did not publicly call on Biden to withdraw from the race. In her speech, Nancy did not mention Trump by name when addressing January 6. She said lawmakers returning to the Capitol that same night demonstrated that American democracy prevailed and called on voters now to reject autocracy and choose democracy by choosing Harris and Walz.
And I know that Vice President Harris is ready to take us to new heights. She is a leader of strength and wisdom and eloquence on policy, most recently demonstrated fighting for women's right to choose. Politically, she is astute and strategic in winning difficult elections, quickly securing the nomination with dignity and grace, and choosing Tim Walz as our vice president.
American host and television producer Oprah Winfrey made an unscheduled appearance at DNC. Chicago is Oprah Winfrey's hometown, and she began by praising the speeches on day 2 from Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. She backed Harris in her speech, and the first time Oprah put her legacy brand behind a political candidate was Barack Obama in 2008.
Who says you can't go home again? After watching the Obamas last night, that was some epic fire, wasn't it? Some epic fire. We're now so fired up, we can't wait to leave here and do something. And what we're going to do is elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States.
Democrats on stage urged Americans to elect Kamala Harris as the president and stave off a return of Donald Trump to the White House. Governor of Pennsylvania, Joe Shapiro, argued that Democrats were the party of real freedom.
Donald Trump, a man with no guardrails, wants to take away our rights and our freedoms. And listen, while he cloaks himself in the blanket of freedom, what he's offering isn't freedom at all.
Former President Donald Trump on Wednesday held his first outdoor campaign event since he was grazed by a bullet in an assassination attempt. During the rally in North Carolina, Trump accused the Biden administration of manipulating job statistics, saying they added 818,000 jobs that did not exist. Trump spoke from behind a podium surrounded by panes of bulletproof glass that formed a protective wall across the stage aimed at keeping him safe after the attack by a Pennsylvania gunman on July 13th.
The Harris-Biden administration has been caught fraudulently manipulating job statistics to hide the true extent of the economic ruin that they've inflicted on America. The new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the administration padded the numbers with an extra, listen to this one, 818,000 jobs that don't exist. So they said they existed, and they never did exist. They built them up so that they could say what a wonderful job they're doing. No, we've never had numbers like this. They don't exist.
All right, Nick Harper joins us with more from Washington. Nick, we just saw how Nancy Pelosi, how Tim Walz, Bill Clinton, and other star speakers addressed the Democratic Convention today, and it marks the close of the convention today. Very quickly, let us get more from you as to what were the highlights of the four-day convention which was held.
Well, one night still to come. This was the end of day three. Heavy hitters on day three, of course, culminating in Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor, accepting the vice presidential nomination. Bill Clinton, he's no stranger to convention speeches. This was his 12th consecutive one. He had an opportunity to address the hall. He spoke for a long time, but he used it as an opportunity really to lay out the dangers, as he sees them, of Donald Trump returning to the White House. He said that Trump is all about dividing, blaming and belittling, and saying that he curates chaos. That surprise appearance from Oprah Winfrey as well electrified the hall in Chicago. She also drew that comparison between the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign, saying that it was all about Harris's optimism over Trump's cynicism, and saying that voters should choose common sense with Harris over nonsense from Donald Trump. And Tim Walz, he gave an electrifying speech. It was a short speech, but it was packed full of energy, an opportunity for him to introduce himself to America, because remember, it's only been 2 weeks since he's become a household name. Just over 2 weeks ago, many people outside of Minnesota had not heard of him when he was picked by Kamala Harris to be her running mate. He gave it as an opportunity to draw comparisons between Harris and Trump, but also to bear in mind that he comes from small-town America, and therefore he hopes appeals to those Midwestern working-class voters, saying that he can appeal to Republicans who are perhaps worried about Donald Trump because he has spent much of his upbringing, but also his time as a public servant working with Republicans in the places that he's lived.
All right, Nick, it's an all-guns blazing contest which the U.S. is witnessing, with the endorsement of Tim Walz, with the endorsement of Kamala Harris on one hand, and also J.D. Vance and Donald Trump's team on the other hand. Which way is the political contest, is the presidential race heading on in the U.S.? What are your evaluations?
Well, it's so difficult to tell, but we are now less than 80 days before November the 5th, the presidential election. And once we finish the Democratic National Convention in Chicago at the end of Thursday here in the US, it really is that breakneck race all the way to November 5th. The candidates knowing that they cannot waste a day at all. Also, we have seen this election really turned on its head in the space of just over a month since Joe Biden dropped out of his presidential bid. When he dropped out, he was trailing Donald Trump in nearly every single poll. Since then, we've seen a complete turnaround, and Kamala Harris is now leading or drawing close to Donald Trump in many of the major polls, showing that she's pulling ahead in certain important swing states that she knows she needs to win if she's going to have a chance of beating Donald Trump. But I think it's also worth bearing in mind that in the space of just 8 weeks here in the US, we had an assassination attempt and the dropping out of a presidential candidate. We've got just over 8 weeks to go until the election. It does feel still really as if anything could happen.
All right, anything could happen. Let's see how the days ahead pan out. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining in with those details. The Republican candidate will be visiting a border region in the state of Arizona on Thursday. He's on a tour of swing states, pushing his political campaign to people whose votes could make all the difference in November's presidential election. Caroline Malone gets us more from Washington.
Donald Trump is due to appear on the US-Mexico border later today, where he'll address the hot topic of immigration. Republicans, led by Trump, have been campaigning on closing the borders to illegal migration, saying the current Biden-Harris administration has allowed more of what Trump refers to as illegals and criminals into the country than ever before. Around 80,000 people cross the southern US border from Mexico every month without authorization. That's down from previous years, but above what was happening during Trump's time in office, when he had Title 42 that used to turn people away based on COVID-19 pandemic rules. Well, Trump is trying to regain some momentum this week away from the campaign of the vice president and presumptive Democratic nominee for president, Kamala Harris, who's due to make a headline speech at the Chicago convention on Thursday night. Earlier this week, Trump visited swing states of Pennsylvania to talk about the economy, on to Michigan, where he addressed crime. He was then joined by his running mate, J.D. Vance, in North Carolina on Wednesday. And after the border visit on Friday, he will rally in Arizona. That's also one of the states where abortion will be on the ballot in November. It's a key issue highlighted by Democrats, but one that Trump is likely to steer away from, trying to focus more on the border, crime and the economy. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
US President Joe Biden urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the urgency of sealing a deal for a truce in Gaza and the release of hostages. Though both the conflicting parties, Israel and Hamas, stuck firmly to their demands. White House in a statement said that Biden pressed Israeli Prime Minister to close the ceasefire and hostage release deal and discussed upcoming talks in Cairo to remove any remaining obstacles. US, Israeli, Egyptian and Qatari negotiators who are expected to meet in Cairo this weekend have for months struggled to bridge differences between Israel and Hamas. The call between Biden and Netanyahu comes after the trip by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken to West Asia. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi tells diaspora in Warsaw to join the India growth story to meet his counterpart Donald Tusk and President Andrzej Duda on day 2. Tim Walz accepts nomination to be Harris's running mate at Democratic Convention, hits the ground running as he launches an attack on Republicans, says they will ban abortion if they win. US President Joe Biden stresses on the urgency of a ceasefire deal in a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, discusses upcoming talks in Cairo to remove any remaining obstacles. Russia reports advances in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine destroys pontoon bridges in Kursk incursion. Ukrainian President Zelensky says boosting forces to resist Moscow advance. The Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 new Mpox cases in a week. Africa urgently seeks vaccines as viral disease rages in the Central African nation. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on his first day in Poland, addressed the Indian diaspora in Warsaw. In his address, Prime Minister Modi spoke about how Poland values Indian culture and religious understanding. DD India's correspondent Vishal Baristo gets us this report.
Indology is a great connect between India and Poland. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his address to the Indian diaspora, also mentioned about the quote of Bhagavad Gita at the Warsaw University. I have with me Philip and his friends. Let's talk to Philip first. Philip, what is Indology?
Yes, it is a great meeting that after 45 years, Prime Minister came to Poland. It is for us, it is a festival for Poland. Indology is a branch of knowledge which developed outside of India. That is generally taking interest in India through languages, and then through languages reaching to the culture and studying various subjects, various aspects of Indian culture. Mainly it is based on literature and then cultural achievements, so like this.
And one last thing, you also mentioned about the shlokas or the quotes of the Hindu epic Mahabharata.
It is about two branches of knowledge. So this is very important for the whole humanity. It is a universal statement that came in India, that was spoken by Indian rishis, the authors of Upanishads. So it is very ancient. So here we just pay respect, a great respect to India as one of the most developed and ancient civilization. And the science is this is like a source of scientific investigation or scientific research that is there, because it is dve vidye veditavye, about two vidyas, para and apara, that the spiritual and aksharam, yadaksharam is the first, and then the whole other branches are there. So the general reflection about the whole education are in ancient script. And also there is a Gayatri mantra. So it is like a core of Indian knowledge. It was chosen by the Indologist Joanna Jurevich.
Okay. Now along with Philip, I have two ladies. They are Brahmakumaris. So what made you choose to become Brahmakumari? What's your name?
My name is Asha, and of course meditation, especially in Poland, is very popular. So I started meditate more than 40 years ago, and I started with Brahma Kumaris University. It is very interesting and very popular in Poland.
Along with Asha is
Aneta.
Anita. Now these are Indian names that you have picked up. So how long, what is so special about meditation, and what do you gain out of it?
Yeah, meditation for me is a lifestyle, and it's really a way to manage myself in the most effective way, and also to bring out the best potential out of me in whatever I do, so that I can achieve success myself, but I also can contribute to betterment of humanity.
With cameraman Sanjeev in Warsaw, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Poland and India can go a long way, and this visit of the Indian Prime Minister will help strengthen economic bonds, says the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. Speaking to DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in Poland said that Poland appreciates the diplomatic approach of India towards the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
I have with me the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Bartoszewski in Poland. Let's talk to him and find out. You are wearing a very nice Indian turban. First of all, how does it feel?
It feels great. It's got Polish flags and Indian flags. It's a cooperation that's made by somebody who lives and works in Poland as an Indian. We have a very large community here, and this speech we had 500 Indians shouting vigorously with delight when Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, was making a very upbeat speech about the current situation of India, the future of India, the future of the world, and cooperation with Poland, which he's visited after 45 years of not having the Indian Prime Minister. We are planning to sign a strategic partnership. India has it with a few countries in Europe. We have it with Japan, China, and South Korea. It means that we are going to cooperate on a variety of fields, in fact, in every field imaginable. We are the country next to which border there's a war. India is familiar with wars because you've had a number of wars in the last 50 years on a smaller scale, but they are still open source, and we don't want to live in like that. And India and Poland are supporters of international law-based order.
India doesn't want it, we don't want it, and that is why both countries are friends, because both believe in democratic values. With cameraman Sanjeev in Warsaw, this is Vishal Baristu for DD India.
All right, let's turn focus to other updates. Now, Russia says Ukraine on Wednesday launched one of the biggest drone attacks against Moscow since the start of the full-scale invasion. It said 11 drones were shot down over the capital. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces are continuing to advance in Russia's Kursk region. Megumi Lim has more from Kyiv.
Russian officials said on Wednesday 45 Ukrainian drones were intercepted over several regions and that 11 of them were headed for Moscow. Ukraine has so far not commented, and no injuries or damages have so far been reported. Now, Ukraine's military said on Wednesday it struck the site of an S-300 anti-aircraft system in Russia's southern Rostov region. This system has been used by Moscow's forces to carry out attacks against Ukrainian cities. And Ukraine, for the first time, revealed that Russia had launched a total of 9,600 missiles and 14,000 attack drones since the start of the full-scale invasion. Kyiv said a majority of these attacks were carried out by S-300 and S-400 missiles. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces are continuing to advance in Russia's Kursk region. The country's commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrsky, said his forces captured an additional 28 to 35 kilometers of territory and now controlled a total of 93 settlements. Analysts are saying Ukraine still needs to capture a few more settlements to secure a buffer zone for the Sumy region to protect it from future Russian attacks and potential ground offensives. Now, authorities in the Sumy region said evacuations have been planned for 45,000 people living near the border with Russia. Although the Kursk incursion did push Russian forces back and artillery attacks have decreased, retaliatory airstrikes in the area have reportedly intensified. Megumi Lim in Kyiv reporting for DD India.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has recorded more than 1,000 new Mpox cases in the last week as the viral disease rages in the Central African nation. More than 500 people have died and over 16,000 others have contracted this disease since the start of this year. DD India's correspondent Chris Ochamringa has more from Kinshasa.
The ongoing Mpox outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo is spreading fast across the country. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says more than 1,000 cases have been recorded over the past week. The health body fears the reported cases might be an underestimate because many patients in remote areas are not being tested for Mpox. The DRC's healthcare system has been destroyed by decades of conflict and corruption. The country's health minister recently said they need $49 million to tackle the outbreak, but the government has released $10 million and promised to provide more funds later. The US and Japan have also pledged to send vaccines. The Mpox cases in the DRC have spread to neighboring countries. Scientists say a new variant that's deadlier than the one reported globally in 2022 is to blame for the rapid spread. The World Health Organization recently declared the outbreak a global health emergency to help prevent it from spreading further. Chris Ochamringa in Kinshasa, reporting for DD India.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. 5 bodies were retrieved from the sunken wreck of a yacht belonging to the wife of British tech magnate Mike Lynch. The bodies were brought ashore on rescue boats and taken to nearby hospitals for formal identification. Local authorities refused to give any information about who they might have found. Search operation to further continue for one missing body. The Sri Lankan government has announced visa-free access for citizens of 35 countries, including major nations like India, UK, US, Canada, Germany, Japan, among others. This initiative, approved by Sri Lanka's cabinet, will take effect from 1st of October this year and will last for 6 months. It is notable that India is the largest source market for tourism to Sri Lanka. China is making significant advancements in humanoid robotics, challenging industry leaders with innovative startups and affordable high-performance robots. At the exhibition venue, humanoid robots were seen performing simple tasks such as picking up items, walking through obstacles, and mimicking human gestures and expressions. Humanoid robots are primarily used for simple inspection and internal logistics tasks in industrial production. California condors have made a remarkable return to the skies of Mexico thanks to decades of dedication and conservation efforts. Once on the brink of extinction, these majestic birds have been successfully reintroduced to their natural habitats in the mountains of Baja California. Conservation programs, including collaboration between Mexican and US organizations, have played a pivotal role in this recovery, focusing on captive breeding, habitat protection, and reducing threats such as lead poisoning. All right, let's get you updates from back home. We'll get to the latest update in the Kolkata case. The investigating agency CBI and West Bengal police filed the status report before Supreme Court as the hearing in the Kolkata doctors' rape and murder case resumes. West Bengal government on Wednesday removed senior 3 officials of the RG Kar hospital, bowing to the demand of junior doctors who have been protesting against the alleged rape and murder of a postgraduate trainee in the state-run health facility. Apart from the dean of RG Kar Medical College, the hospital superintendent and the head of the chest department at the RG Kar Medical College were also sacked. Meanwhile, the investigating agency CBI grilled former RG Kar Hospital principal Sandeep Ghosh for the 6th consecutive day. On Wednesday, a team of Central Industrial Security Force visited Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College and Hospital for inspection on the order of the Supreme Court, which pulled up the West Bengal government on Tuesday for the mob rampage at the state-run hospital on the intervening night of August 14th and 15th. In the southern coastal region of Andhra Pradesh's Anakapale, at least 17 people died and 35 were injured in an explosion. The explosion occurred at the Essentia Company, a pharma firm's plant in the Special Economic Zone. Essentia makes intermediate chemicals and active pharma ingredients. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu has ordered an inquiry and said the responsibility has to be fixed. President of India expressed grief. Posting on social media platform X, she wrote, and I quote her, "Deeply anguished to know about the loss of lives in an explosion at a pharma company in Anakapalli district of Andhra Pradesh. My heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. I pray for speedy recovery of the injured." On social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote, and I quote him, "Pained by the loss of lives due to a mishap at a factory in Anakapalli. Condolences to those who lost their near and dear ones. May the injured recover soon. An ex gratia of Rs 2 lakh from Prime Minister National Relief Fund would be given to the next of the kin of each deceased. The injured would be given Rs 50,000. National capital Delhi is expected to face a major transportation issue for the next 2 days as auto and taxi driver unions in Delhi NCR have announced a strike from Thursday. Auto taxi unions are protesting against app-based cab services. The protest is expected to pull nearly 400,000 vehicles, including autos and taxis, off the roads, causing widespread disruption across the region. A quick break ahead on DD India News Hour. But after the break, the US FDA declines the therapy used for blood cancer, though the company vows to continue its goal of making the treatment widely available. German goalkeeper Manuel Neuer announces retirement from international football. Third day of Democratic National Convention in Chicago witnessing a musical treat.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Mohammed Yunus's interim government is taking steps to publish a white paper on the current economic situation in Bangladesh. Chief Advisor's Officer announced on Wednesday that a committee led by economist Debapriya Bhattacharya has been formed to prepare the white paper. The committee will publish the white paper within 90 days after taking charge. A document from the office states that the proposed white paper will reflect the overall picture of the current economy, including public finance, inflation and food management. Also, the white paper will focus on the country's external balance, export, import, remittances, foreign direct investment, foreign exchange reserves, foreign finance flows and debt status. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has decided to decline a therapy used for a common form of blood cancer. Regeneron, the company that asked the FDA to approve the therapy, has vowed to continue its goal of making the treatment widely available. DD India's Mitch McCann gets us more from New York.
Regeneron was seeking approval from the Food and Drug Administration for its therapy linvoseltamab, which is used to treat patients with myeloma after their cancer has returned or worsened after 3 prior treatments. Regeneron says the FDA decided not to grant approval for the drug because of findings at a pre-approval inspection at a third-party manufacturer. According to Reuters, the company says it's committed to working closely with the third-party manufacturer and the health regulator to make sure linvoseltamab can reach patients. It says the issue's now been rectified, but it's waiting on another inspection. It's reported that the multiple myeloma market was worth almost $16 billion last year, and that the European Medicines Agency, or EMA, is still reviewing its request for the therapy. Mitch McCann in New York, reporting for DD India.
PwC, China's biggest accounting firm, has informed its clients that it expects a 6-month business ban by Chinese authorities as early as September as part of the punishment for its audit of collapsed property developer Evergrande. The Financial Times reported on Wednesday that the ban would prevent it from signing off on financial results and initial public offerings and from conducting other regulated activities. A PwC spokesperson declined to comment, saying it is an ongoing regulatory matter. PwC has been under scrutiny for its role in auditing Evergrande since the troubled property developer was accused in March of a $78 billion fraud, leading to an exodus of clients. All right, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sports updates. In football, Germany goalkeeper Manuel Neuer has announced his retirement from international football. The 38-year-old, who won the 2014 World Cup, was capped 124 times, with his final appearance for Germany coming in last month's Euro 2024 quarter-final defeat against Spain. Neuer made his international debut in 2009 and played in 8 major tournaments. He was Germany's starting goalkeeper in their World Cup final win over Argentina in 2014 and served as captain from 2018 until earlier this year when Ike Gundogan took over as the role. India's star javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra will be in action at Lausanne Diamond League late on Thursday night. Now, the event features a strong field, including Paris Olympics bronze medalist Anderson Peters, though Olympic champion Arshad Nadeem will skip the event. The Lausanne Diamond League meet will be the 5th competition of the season for Neeraj Chopra. Neeraj won a silver at Paris 2024 with a throw of 89.45 meters and is currently 4th in the Diamond League standings. He needs a top 6 finish in Lausanne to qualify for the Diamond League final in Brussels next month. His main competition includes Jakub Vledich of Czechia and Julian Weber of Germany. Chelsea completes the signing of Portugal forward João Felix from Atletico Madrid, while England midfielder Conor Gallagher moves in the opposite direction. The 24-year-old Felix, who has signed a 7-year deal with the club, scored 4 goals in 20 appearances during his 6-month loan spell in West London in 2023. Felix expressed his excitement and said that he is really happy to be back and can't wait to get started. Meanwhile, Gallagher, who has signed a 5-year contract with the Spanish club, scored 10 goals in his 90 appearances for Chelsea. Gallagher had entered the last year of his contract at Stamford Bridge. Hence, Chelsea decided to sell now instead of losing him on a free transfer next summer. Portuguese footballer Cristiano Ronaldo launches a YouTube channel and breaks the world record for fastest YouTube channel to hit 1 million subscribers. The football star launched his channel on Wednesday, quickly amassing hundreds of thousands of subscribers within hours. The 39-year-old, five-time Ballon d'Or winner who plays for Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr announced on social media saying the wait is over, the channel is here, subscribe and join the journey. Just a couple of hours later, after his first video went live, 1.69 million subscribers had already joined his channel. Ronaldo, who has 112.5 million followers on X and 636 million on Instagram, is set to take over YouTube next. England trailed Sri Lanka by 214 runs on day one of the first test after bad light stopped play. Sri Lankan captain Dhananjay De Silva won the toss and chose to bat under the cloudy skies, but his side struggled early, collapsing to 6 for 3 within 7 overs. However, De Silva led a recovery with a steady 74 in the middle order. The tourists' decision to bat first backfired as they were bowled out for 236. In response, England was 22 without loss in 4 overs, with Ben Duckett and Dan Lawrence at the crease. With fading light preventing Sri Lanka's fast bowlers from utilising the new ball, the visitors opted to walk off just minutes before stumps. Musicians John Legend and Sheila E. and Stevie Wonder performed on stage during the third day of the Democratic National Convention. Music icon Stevie Wonder calls on America to come together, while John Legend and Sheila E. honoured late music star Prince with a performance on his song Let's Go Crazy. Late singer Prince was born in Minnesota, who passed away in 2016. Alright, with that we end this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.